Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I'm here with Rex of Devil Flyer of Momentum. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain about anything other than I'm freezing all the time. I work outside, and it's so cold here in New York. So I come
All right,
home.
John, as the guest, I get to ask the first question. How many
Sure.
comics do you have? I'm at about 30,000. How about you?
Okay. The last time I did an inventory, I was up to 55,000, and my computer went berserkowitz, and I lost my database. So I'm
Oh,
presently scanning them again.
hey, Nicholas. We've got Marcus in here, all kinds of great people. My
Yep.
Shadowhawk, my co-host. We do a daily show, John, as you might know, over on YouTube. Have for a little over 2 years now. So
What's your channel?
uh the 4 o'clock shadow. That's 4 Central, 5 Eastern every day.
Okay. Okay. 5 Eastern. Oh man, I've just missed it. I don't get home till like 5:15.
Yeah. Well, now
But I can watch it. Yeah.
we go for a couple hours, so sometimes even longer than that. Depends. We've had some great guests on already. We've had Mike Barron, Dan Lawless. Today we had Edwin Buzz Acevedo that does the Ace, and we've had Peter Samedi on. I know you've had him on
Yeah.
more than
We'll
once.
have Pete Samedi on tomorrow
Yeah.
for my comic book team up with that I do with RJ.
Okay. All right. Yeah. RJ, he'll probably Critical Blast. He'll probably be.
Oh
He's
no,
about
RJ from the Fourth Age, RJ Shaw.
Oh, okay. From the Fourth Age. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I had RJ from Critical Blast a couple of weeks ago. Great guy, very interesting.
Yeah.
Just talking about
Ex comic book shop kind of guy. So am I. I got started in when books like this came out with Howard Chaykin's Black Hawk. Square bound prestige format. I think I started my comic book shop along with another gentleman a month after Marvel first released Dazzler #1.
Okay.
Which was their first direct release. Yep. What happened to Superman? Am I looking at Clark Kent now?
Yeah, don't tell anybody. Don't tell Lois.
I don't have your shield, but I do have a shield back there.
I'm looking at all the stuff. I see Darth Maul's peeking around the corner over there.
Yeah. I've got some in Green Lantern, like you've got your old original Green Lantern. I actually got to meet Martin O'Dell back in the 80s a couple times, he and his wife, and have a original colored piece done by him. I've got original artwork, production artwork. In fact, we're going to be making a couple books, starting at least one of the two books this year. But we're going to do Devil Flyer magazine first. That's going to release on Red Valkyrie on February 3rd. Excited about that.
Cool.
But I just like comics in general. I collect everything from a little bit of everything from treasuries to, here's an old fanzine, and you might recognize this artist. That's Jim Starlin, and he just signed it Star.
Okay.
This is very early Jim Starlin stuff.
What year is that?
Let's see. I think it is.
Thank you, Marcus.
1971, maybe.
I'm sorry?
Maybe 1971. Let me check.
Yeah, because I think 72 was his first Marvel work.
Yeah, January 71. Mm-hmm. And he did interiors as well on that.
Phenomenal talent. Of course, you must have read his Warlock comics, huh?
Yeah, Warlock. Well, I love his cosmic. I'm working on a story now. I have a character called the Bystander. He kind of looks like the Question with the fedora hat and the trench coat. And I'm going for that Jim Starlin cosmic vibe in this because he's like my Watcher, character. And
that's a great name.
And I think
let me guess. Let me guess. You just told me what he looks like, and he told me his name was the Bystander. So that's one of my things is comic book characters have to have a great name that focuses the character. So without telling me more, you probably told me too much already. But the Bystander, he goes from planet to planet, like the Watcher, and he observes things and tries not to get involved in the stories, but circumstances may cause him to get involved. So I'm going to assume that he could breathe in space, he could survive in environments, and he has like enhanced. How's that?
Kind of like a Phantom Stranger type character, you know. Of course, he goes all the way back. National Comics in the 50s. He's one of the oldest DC characters. Well, I mean, not really when you consider they go back, you know, to the 30s. But
so I did pretty good guessing, huh? So that means to me that you have a good character. That the name was an excellent focus. That's just one of my.
Well, I was always a Marvel guy. You know, it was Marvel Comics, Avengers with George Perez. Started in '76. I did have a few before that. I was into monsters, like a lot of people are early on. My first one was actually Vampire Tales number 5, one of those from 1974, I think. And it's reprinted in this, you know, that they did the reprints of all those magazines, and it had the origin of Morbius in it from Amazing Spider-Man 102.
Kills that poor girl on the street, and I've never liked Morbius ever since.
You know? Well, I started with that, and then my second actual comic book size comic to buy was Werewolf by Night Annual number 2, where he went up against the monster of Frankenstein, and the Vampire Tales, you know, had some gory stuff in it for my age. My father's like, "You really want?" You know, it's like I had to beg him for it, and the same thing with the other one because it had Satanist on the cover. Upside down cross, human sacrifice, monsters. I really had to sell my grandmother on that.
Yeah, my parents wouldn't let me get the Marvel magazines because and then I collected all the Mego figures, and my father wouldn't. Oh, my grandfather was the only time I ever saw Thor in a store. I was with my grandfather, and he wouldn't buy me Thor because he had long hair, and he said that's for girls. So there you go.
Yeah,
so I never got Thor.
Now, did you ever get these, John? These are must-have for collectors, especially if you're these indexes. Maybe you'll recognize one of them.
Yeah, I never got those.
Man, you should get these.
What exactly are they?
Oh God, you should get these. It gives you like, well, you know, Thor didn't come around till Journey into Mystery 83,
right?
So it had a rich history. So what it'll do is it'll give you that Avengers number 1. First time I ever saw that cover was in one of these, which came out in 1976. The year that it came out is when it stopped, the most current issue. The X-Men came out in about 1985, and so it got the Byrne and Terry Austin and all that. So what it does is it gives you a rundown of some of the history, like here has pictures of the old Journey in the Mystery with the original Hulk, which is not called Hulk, kind of a prototype, different character altogether. I actually had that one around here with the Glob, and then it goes into, you know, from 83 with Thor until it becomes his title. It has all the annuals. It gives you all the guest stars, all the artists when known.
Oh, so it's a compendium of all the comics.
Yeah, it's just and then if it's not a large run, it will give you multiples, you know. Here's just a few of those. Here's the X-Men one. Like I say, came out later, and some of these have wraparound covers.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
Jim Steranko doing Captain America, and that's an awesome wraparound cover.
Yeah, it is.
And of course, that's got the timely stuff in it as well. Iron Man, and that will have Tales of Suspense in it, just like Hulk will have Astonishing. Yeah. And just, man, you got to get this, man. You got to get those if you're a Marvel fan at all. It's got a lot of great information. I can't recommend them enough.
Cool.
like that Avengers #1 that you were showing the other day. The first time I saw that was in the 1976 index. I had to mail order. That was the day of mail ordering, right? I
Yeah.
don't guess the internet is much
On
different.
Sundays, at 10 Eastern Standard Time, I do a deep dive into like a key issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of me just rambling on for a while, and then I found my groove. So I take out like older comics.
I've got a few.
What's that? I can't even see with the glare. Oh, Variety Comics.
Yeah, from the 40s. The Spice of Comics. Each issue contains a variety of new and original features. It did have a superhero feature, which is here in the middle, and then it had something on the presidents there. It's just, I've got it in a Mylar here, so sorry about the glare, but
it's okay.
Didn't run for very long. Actually, I have the note. Second appearance of Captain Valiant. Marvin Stern cover, second Captain Valiant cover, 1945 from Crichton Publications. So kind of obscure. And I collect like the UK reprinted type stuff. Of course, there's Fly Man, Fly Girl.
Yep.
And a creepy. I like those, especially like this cover. I actually have 2 of that because it has a 3D effect the way they did the coloring.
Yeah.
When you look at it up close, that red and that blue really has a depth and a 3D effect to this Sinister Tales. Got quite a few of those UKs here, but I've got stuff like Dick Tracy. Here's some Autolite just cut out a magazine. Dick Tracy Autolite strips.
That's
advertising
on the newspaper.
I think these were actually out of magazine, printed in magazines, and somebody probably just cut them out, preserved them, and I bought them on eBay. They're probably from 60s. Of course, I grew up watching Dick.
Doing anything with Dick Tracy these days?
No, I mean Warren Beatty was about the last thing we saw, right?
Yeah. What was that, like 91?
Yeah, early 90s.
Hey, Grom, how you doing?
Love, hardback type things that they come out with today. Of course, this is several years ago.
What's the company? What's the publisher on that?
Let's see. Riviere, maybe?
Yeah, they publish European comics and
okay.
To the States. Yeah,
they might have done this one as well. I don't know. This one's on Auschwitz.
Yeah,
very nice. Yeah, that's in French there. The publication on that one, but
so you said you owned a comic store?
In 82, 83. In fact, mine was the first comic store here in where I live in Northeast Arkansas.
Okay.
X-Men pop up. Huh?
What was the name of your store?
Chamber. Let's see. Chamber of Comics.
Cool. Chamber of Comics. That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
And
I wish I could take credit for that, but that was actually.
Were you the sole owner?
No, I had a partner.
Only one yet? May I ask what happened? Did you decide to move on? What happened?
Yeah, he basically he had the majority. I was only 17. I was in junior high. I was in a junior in high school. So when he said and he had the majority. He was quite a bit older than me. I guess he's in his 70s now. I guess last time I saw him, I was like, still in high school. So when he said shut it down, I was kind of forced to shut it down. And I had the experience, though. That was Capital Comics. I had to deal with Capital Comics instead of Diamond. Diamond bought out Capital. Yeah. But there's only been 2 years of my life that I haven't collected comics or something comic related. And that's when I was actually working at a rescue mission, worked with the homeless. I've worked with the homeless for about 3.5 years, I guess, at 3 different places. Did prison ministry for about 7 years. Went
Oh,
into a
wow.
couple of different prisons. So I've had quite the life experience. Met all people from all walks of life in all kinds of situations. Here's a complimentary copy. You'd see they stamped it on there a couple times for military. These are
Okay.
actually like file copies from Harvey or something from their warehouse. I don't know if you would consider that file copies or not, but they're in pretty good shape. Here's a sad sack, probably from the 50s, that was a promo book, not part of the regular run.
Hello, Miss Saren. It's good to see a brand new name. Thank you for popping in. Thank you. Good to see you.
So I've just collected all kinds of things. Here's a promo from Flash Gordon that turned 90 this year. It's his anniversary. This was Gordon Bread, Harvey file copy giveaway from 1951.
Nice.
Gordon Bread is no longer around. Non-slick cover, multi-panel type thing. I did several things. Here's a comic on military courtesy. And one that a friend
Do you
gave.
have a shower in that room? Is that a shower behind you?
That is a shower. Yep, that is a shower.
Aren't you afraid of the humidity ruining all your stuff?
I don't use it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't use it. It was actually put down here because former owners, their mother was here. The full bathrooms upstairs didn't have a shower down here, so they put that in.
I was gonna say, you take a shower down there, get that humidity, and all your collectibles get ruined.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you ever get double or triple covers? This is a double acetate cover. The very first Wizard Ace edition come out. Creed, of course, he's doing
like
Creed.
Extra stapled cover, like an accident.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell with that plastic why it would probably stick. But I bought hundreds of these things when Wizard was selling them out of the warehouse on eBay, and that was the only double cover I got. This is a double cover, and this was a good run. This was a promo, Ditko cover. These were in the newspapers around when
the newspaper. Yeah, mm-hmm. I bought a stack of those.
Well, they're very hard to get in good condition. I mean, really nice condition because they're so thin.
Right.
They want to fold over. A friend of mine gave me one of these when it came out. Sadly, I don't have the year. It was late. Might have been around 87. The first Shoney's Bear issue. This is some of the short stack that I have that I'm going to get graded, that one I've taken care of ever since. Sometimes I will just buy covers.
Oh, wow.
Like here's Wiz Comics number 8. This is just the cover, but I may get a coverless and can combine it. It'll be detached, but if the cover's in pretty good shape, sometimes I'll buy the cover. Just this cover here was just a few cents less than $60, but it's an old one,
Yeah.
One of his early appearances here. And they tell a hero, this one was about $42, 1944, number 56, but it's got the war bond stamp on it, featured. So just a bit of history, of not only comics, but war. I actually have a couple of issues of this Blue Circle, but now this one just happens to be just the cover, and that's from 1944. And this is 1951. When I was a kid, we get little stuff like this at like shoe stores and stuff, And this is a file copy. I wanted this pretty bad because the black sensitive cover, you just don't find them in this great a shape.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's 1969 in like near mint minus condition, according to the person I bought it from. But my own Devil Flyer cover is based on kind of based on this, Old Adam, where he's being punched through the cover. I love those, what I call burst through covers,
Yeah, I like those too. Yeah.
where the character bursts through. So that's kind of what I did for the Devil Flyer magazine. Um, John Diller did the artwork to that. Well, I have 3 different ones. I have Jimmy Reyes doing a variant cover, and then the artist that did the Devil Flyer story did a cover as well. That's a watercolor.
So you're writing the comic and they're doing the art.
Yeah, I do art as well. I do like Jeremy Burt's. I had him this for issue 6, just part of like a collage panel. He does portraits really well, so I commissioned him to do that. I do my own characters and stuff, and design my own characters and stuff. Here's a cover that I kind of messed around and did a lot of Kirby Crackle there.
Yeah, that looks like one of those old monster comics.
Yeah, he's kind of a combination of a couple. I've still got old collectibles, like this is Art Adams X-Men Uncanny X-Men from the 80s unopened t-shirt.
Oh wow.
Just never opened it. No, I wouldn't wear it. Are you crazy? Here's an oldie, Famous Funnies number 43. This is production cover with the inside ads and the back cover. This piece is actually, I have it, but it's owned by a friend of mine. I have a good friend from college that we've known each other for 39 years, almost 40 years come next year. And he bought this piece and just wanted me to store it. It was either this or a 1962 Ant-Man cover. And I said, get this, because that stuff was destroyed, shredded. Now, the 62 Kirby thing, probably for collectors, but I liked it because Famous Funnies was the first dime comic sold for a dime, the title.
Oh, really?
And yeah. How long you been collecting? I've been collecting since 76, although I had a few comics before that.
Yeah, I have 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters, and my older brothers would buy random superhero comics, and my older sisters would buy random Harveys and Archies. So I always had comics, but I officially say I started collecting comics in 74, 75. My first comic that I bought with my own money was a Fantastic Four 186, I think it is. George Perez, Joe Sinnott, I think Len Wein wrote it. It's Fantastic Four fights the Claw, and then Reed Richards turned into the Molecule Man.
Oh yeah.
And then I think it was Thor 186 was my first Thor comic. Walt Simonson smashing, having Thor smash the destroyer. I never went back.
70s and 80s are my jam.
Yeah, those are good comics, man. It's so good. I got those comics. And I just was addicted. Any comics I could get. My mom used to give me $1 a day for lunch money, and I would go and buy at least 1, maybe 2 comics a day, and then whatever change, that's what I would eat with.
Right. Well, my first collection burned up in 97, and I turned around.
God.
I had 45 long boxes full of comics. So I'd been collecting, I guesstimate about 16,000 burn up, along with, but that's replaceable. It was the original artwork and things like that. The Avengers, the John Byrne Avenger heads, it's always in the Ditko box up top. I used to own that piece.
Oh, man.
I owned a Jim Starlin page from DC Comics Presents. Owned a page, a beautiful page done by Dan Day, I believe, from Aztec Ace, from Eclipse Comics. Those are one of a kind items, and you just can't replace those. But I mean, I've got a better collection now. This is one of my pride and joys that was actually given to me.
Nice.
This is the color separation for Avengers number 4. So it's got the different. I have different production art things, but it has the different layers there. Uh, you know, this stuff was destroyed, shredded. You know, I mean, how much is that worth? Not as much as the original artwork. That's all collectors want. When it comes to production artwork, they couldn't care less. But this is a one of a kind item from early '60s. You know, you're not going to find it in anybody else's collection. Last year, I put out my ash can, and so this is kind of a continuation of that. There's the magnets, trading cards, and the bookmarks I came out with. I drew the artwork on the bookmarks, and had a friend of many years do a lot of the artwork. Here's one of my better condition ones. That's, I mean, look at this. This looks brand spanking new. Unfortunately, I don't have, this is number 15 of Dick Tracy. It looks minty fresh. I mean, look at that. Looks great. Fresh off the stands. You know, old Dale. We think of Dick Tracy with a yellow hat. Well, that came later. He had a green hat there in the Dale days. The old Dale 4-color. That was the first. That was the first comic that was part of the Dale 4-color run, and it was unnumbered, I believe. Here's Boy Commandos number 31. Early Jack Kirby artwork.
Yeah, look at that. 10 cents.
10 cents, yep. Now that's incomplete. You know, there's something missing inside of it, but not extreme. Same thing with this one. But I mean, I'm just going to look at the cover anyway, you know, just to get some of these golden age, whether they're complete or incomplete. Love that fill in there. Fight Comics. Yeah.
Tiger Girl, huh?
I came prepared to show you a few things, John, because I know you're a mega collector. Chaplains at War. Bravery favors no religion. Bravery is in the heart. The Living Bible, issue number 3. And I bet you this came out from Bill Gaines's father that, you know, did Mad Magazine. His father came out with these Living Bible type things. And this is kind of a hard one to find there. Chaplains at War. From, do we have a year on that one? It's 40s. I know that. It's issue 3. But it's amazing what you can find, you know. I didn't really read Charlton growing up, you know, but
yeah, me neither. I started getting them now. I got
a few. I got a few of the Bullseye, you know. Gold Key really wasn't around, although my cousin had a few of those. Dale Comics really wasn't around, although they were probably the last ones to sell, you know, over 1 million copies in the early 60s. I got a little bit of animation art. Here's the Pencils to Conan sale, and then cool. the actual painted sale, because Conan the Adventurer was out in the late 80s as a cartoon. I picked up a few little My Little Pony, although I won't show you those. But these are actually from like the opener. Most of these that I have of these Conan sales, and I picked these up on eBay for like 2 cents,
nice
a piece. You know, so shipping was probably more than no one else bid on them. So and there wasn't even out on disc.
Yeah, I got the entire original New Teen Titans from number 1 to the entire series, you know, the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I paid $60 for it. Nobody else even bid.
But do you have Bawana Beast?
Or but, you know, and I just remember the guy I got a big long box full of comics in the mail, and when I opened it up, there was a piece of loose leaf. And the guy said, "You got me," you know. He honored it, you know, so that was nice.
That's good. They don't always honor it, John. One that I didn't pull, but I do have, is World's Finest Comics number 6. I have a Blue Beetle #6 from 1942. This is World's Finest. It was called America's Best for issue 1 and 2, and then 3 was called World's Finest. They were afraid of getting sued because there was another, you know. And so actually, this is not 6; it's issue 4 with the title, right? It's the 4th issue, but it is issue 6, which the very patriotic. That's a magnet that I bought. But I hope to do a book on stuff like this. I showed you that Avengers separation. Here's like paper separation from the Jack Adler collection that is on paper. Little progressive proofs here of, and this particular cover here, Weird Worlds from DC Comics, old 20 center, was the only one that had all 5 stages of production in the collection. So that I snapped up real quick. My first one was Hawk and Dove #1 because there was very few Steve Ditko's. There's the Inferior 5 cover, a Frankenstein cover there. And it has, just like the acetate or the plastic ones, have the different stages, the magenta, the sienna, the blue, on those. Different stages. Some of these drew me. They come with nice certificate of authenticity.
I love that cover. I've seen that cover before.
Phantom of Woodstock Festival. You knew I had to have that. And I have actually this is the untrimmed. So if you looked at this, has all the ads, approval cover, and then here's the trimmed approval cover that's just blank on the back. So I have like a twofer for that one. But now this is how that book was actually made. This was part of the printing process. And then there's painted ones and early pulls too. Like this is painted and signed by Jack Adler. Jack Adler, I'm going to do a book on him. I and my friend have a lot of the Jack Adler stuff that was saved. He was kind of like the archivist and saved this stuff from being shredded, burned, destroyed.
Yeah, can you believe they used to do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Neil Adams really fought against that. I've got some signed Neil Adams.
You know what else I learned? All the original Doctor Who's, they got rid of the original films. So
right.
They had to like put out rewards to re-get the actual I can't believe that. Like they just filmed a TV show, aired it, and then got rid of the original films.
Or like all the Highlander, Fraser Hines first appearance. This is the only way you can get it is on audio unless they animate it. They have been, And then since I've been collecting Doctor Who, which has been 8 years now. I started at age 50. I'm 58 now, and I have a lot of the official BBC radio collection. That if it came out in 2002, it's just that old. Some of these collections, to get originals, you can pay $50, or whatever. They ain't cheap. But I wasn't into Doctor Who, didn't see a lot. I mean, I saw some as a kid, and usually Tom Baker.
Yeah, that's really all that came to America. Doctor Who didn't come to America until they did they restarted it.
Yeah, on one Saturday in the sort of mid 70s, I think they ran, because I remember this. It was really odd because color TV had fully come in by then. And to see a black and white TV show then at that time was kind of strange.
Yeah.
And they played the first Doctor series, and then they went to the second Doctor series, and then they went to the color third Doctor, Pertwee. And even some of those are colorized because they don't have color prints of even the third Doctor. And then with Tom Baker, Sharda, it was never completed. So some of that has been, that's all been animated but they found complete stories since I've been collecting. That's what made it exciting to me. I just started with the beginning collection that had the first 3 series and said, "Ooh, I like old TV. This is up my alley." So I gave it a shot, and I was hooked. It wasn't always the best, but I had a good. I've spent $4,000 on my Doctor Who
So
collection.
what is your day job then? What do you do for a living?
Well, for the last 11 years, I've been I've actually had a part-time job working loosely with the city. Although we go to different cities around, different towns around, we have different contracts. Spray for mosquitoes.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So pest control.
Pest
I'm the
control.
guy in the fogging truck. You know, now like in Texas, Louisiana, Florida, they go year round. Here in Arkansas, not so much. But I've done that for 11 years. I'll give them one more year. This is actually the longest I've been at a. I worked at a bookstore before that for like 6 years. So that was good experience.
Your room looks like a bookstore the way it's set up.
Yeah. Like I said, my father made these two, and then these two. I've got it set up. I've got all the Marvel Essentials pretty much, and the showcase DC Showcase reprints behind all this stuff. You know, and just some selected things back there. You know, some just a little bit of everything in pop culture.
Oh, yeah, I can see you got a.
And we make a joke about the shower that's the shower from Three's Company, where you know Suzanne Summers and everything. Actually, it was Tom Baker's birthday just the other day. I think the 21st. He turned 90.
Yeah, still around.
Yeah, and one of the first companions to the first Doctor, he's 99. He'll be 100 this year. So,
what's his name? I can't think of his name.
He played Ian Chesterton.
Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah.
And he was in recent Who a few years ago. He
was
in the Jodie Whittaker. Yeah, he made a cameo appearance.
Yeah, he
along with
they made a reference to his longevity in saying that the character Ian Chesterton is still alive.
He played Lancelot back in the 50s.
Yeah.
When he was in his 20s. Yeah. And they actually, Dale did in their 4-color books. I actually had that with him on the cover, the comic. And that's the reason I bought that, you know. That, and I have impossible goals like to get all the Action Comics from Action Comics #1.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. Hey, never say never. I never thought I
would have the comics that I have, you know.
Or the production pieces, original art that I have. You know, you never know what you're going to wind up with.
I have a theory that a lot of old key comics are going to be popping up now because a lot of old timers that bought this stuff originally are going to be, you know, passing away, and their grandkids who have no connection to it, they just want the money. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling that like a lot of old Action Comics or Detective 27s, they're going to pop up, some sensation #1s.
And in the next couple of decades, you know, early film, early pop culture, where it really took off, like Popeye and others, you know, from the 30s, it's a no-brainer. These things are going to come back in vogue because they're going to be hitting 100 years. You know, Steamboat Willie just went into public domain. You know, and other things. Charlie Chaplin's going to do well because you know a lot of that stuff's going to be hitting anniversary status.
West Coast Avengers, my US1, my Chris Star, you know, all of those comics. I've been holding on to them because they're going to be a fortune. You know.
Well, Chris Star was on the first Marvel Age cover. I actually had that in my shop. Yeah. My best story. When I had a shop, I traded this kid credit for $35 worth of credit. And all he wanted was war comics. Okay. He didn't care if it was Charlton, DC, modern reprint. If he didn't have it, he wanted it. He traded me probably a very fine copy of Avengers #2.
Okay.
The worst deal I made, and I knew not to do it, but I couldn't keep everything. That's how I did double the price to $3. The current price in the book was $1.50, folks. Avengers 129. First appearance of the Punisher.
Oh no, the first that's Spider-Man 129.
Or yeah, Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know what I said, but yeah,
Avengers, yeah.
yeah.
Avengers 129 has that dinosaur thing on the cover.
Okay,
I know that because I
I
bought
think I
that.
know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I bought that in a sneaker store. They had those 3-packs that they had like Avengers in the front,
oh yeah.
Fantastic Four, and then in the middle was like some crap that you didn't want.
The last ones that I bought that I really went searching for like that had Spawn and Batman together.
Oh, that's
the very
good.
first. And I said, man, that's worth $1. And so I went all around and bought, 15, 20 copies of those, and then all the other stuff was just extra.
Crom says he's hunting a full collection of good condition Savage Sword of Conan. Funny that you should say that because I had a apprentice electrician that was selling. I would say probably 100 issues of Savage Sword of Conan. I actually made a video. You could see me scroll, flicking through all the Savage Sword of Conan. I never read them, so I can't wait.
I wasn't big on that either when I was a kid. But it's amazing that I have more John Buscema work and most of it. And we're going to be doing a book, working with, Glenn Fleming, who's, out of, the UK, making one of the books is going to be the Jack Adler book, but another one of the books is going to be on John Buscema, and there will be a lot of Savage Sword of Conan artwork. I have a lot of preliminary drawings that he did. It's just varied. These are just on bottom here, so I have to get to them just to show you a few examples. Hopefully without all this stuff sliding.
When I was going to a comic book store that I used to frequent all the time, and this kid came in with a bag of comics, and he said to the owner of the store, "You want to buy these comics?" And the owner goes, "What do you do? You think I want to buy comics? I sell comics. Get out of here." And then something told me to go follow that kid. So I went outside and I looked at his comics, and he had like a near mint condition of Daredevil #1. And he was like,
wow,
$60. I said, $60, I'll take the whole bag. So he had some old X-Men, some old Fantastic Fours, but I got a near mint Daredevil #1, and I put it in my car, and then like a month later I went and showed him. I'm like, you remember that kid you kicked out? Nah.
Yeah, rub it in.
Yeah, and he was like, I can't believe. I said, well, if you were nice to people once in a while, you would.
Right. Instead of being a jerk.
Hey, Pops. How you doing, Pops?
Hey, Pops. Yeah, these are preliminary drawings and where he would lay out the Savage Sword of Conan pages. These are generally from like number 200 to the end of the run, which was like, I don't know, 230 something maybe. In fact, I have 2 pages that he did layouts for the very last issue of Savage Sword of Conan. But he would do preliminary drawings like this with direction, and then put them on a light table and do the finished thing.
Wasn't it just Robert E. Howard's birthday or something? Like a day?
It was. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
I never read this. I read one Conan story. I read the first one.
Yeah.
That was it. But I was never into barbarians until just recently. Now I've collected all these barbarian comics.
Well, I've collected a lot of the magazines just to find out. I know Dark Horse did a set reprinting all those in something like a Overstreet hardback book, and just to identify a lot of these pages, so I have a lot of and I was collecting the floppies till I came across the hardback books that had all the information where I could look at the finished product and compare it with what I had and identify the pages. I've collected a lot of stuff like that when it comes to production art. I collect the production artwork and I'd want the original. I've owned an Avengers #1, but it wasn't in the condition I wanted in, so I just flipped it. You know, that was before the first Avengers movie came out, just a year or so before. But I didn't care. It took me an hour to get it in the bag. I would take like a skewer like this and make sure everything was folded down. You know, it took me an hour to get that book in there and resting and pressed, like, you know. But I wanted it to look presentable to the person who actually bought it.
Do you do that, the cleaning up of comics?
I don't. I'll leave that to. I don't do the pressing either. I think when you have a key book, like up here, I have the first Silver Age appearance of Hawkman and Braving the Bold up there by Joe Kubert. Of course, he drew him in the Golden Age as well. I forget what issue that is. Maybe third. I don't even want to guess. Braving the Bold, 30-something, 40-something. First Hawkman in Silver Age. And I just, you know, I could sell that in the raw for a few hundred, or I can have it pressed and it can become like probably in the condition it's in, you know, an $800 book. It's, you know, if you've got a key book, you're leaving money on, like, I believe, like the owner of Mile High Comics, Chuck Rosansky, you're leaving money on the table. A lot of people are like, say, well, comics are meant to be read, not slabbed. Well, if you're going to sell them for the money and their key issue, you're leaving money on the, you know, because people know what they're buying. It's like, you know, they know what condition it's in. And if they want to crack it open, and a lot of people do, they will crack them open.
I crack open mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comics are meant to be
but you know what condition you're getting. You know, you're not going to get something that's.
I cracked open an 8.5 Avengers #4.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. I've never owned a 4. I've owned a 2. I've owned a 1, but I've never. Yeah. I think I own a 13
I was kind
still.
of pissed off when I saw that it was CGC. I was like, oh God, you know, I cracked it. And now somebody's telling me that somebody figured out a way to open them up and they've been switching the comics out.
Yeah, and some of those early ones, and I do have some of those early ones, they don't do it anymore, but CGC was using microfiber paper, and that has to be replaced. It has to be cracked open by them anyway and re-slabbed, the early ones, at least once. If you have some really old slabbed ones, you're supposed to do that every after 8 years.
Wow.
And
Why,
they don't do that method anymore, but you know, left in there, it could damage your book, you know, the acid and everything.
Yeah, well, my wife will slab my books after I have my inevitable heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you never know if the one you sent them is the one they wrapped in plastic. Yeah. You know, that's like a nightmare to me. You send them my Daredevil and then they keep that and put in another one. How am I going to know, you know?
Well, a friend of mine was at a laundromat and met this older woman, and she was a teacher. Apparently, she was going to take them to class. She may have taken some of those Golden Age comics to class, and the ones that didn't have Nazi covers, they were able to, you know, show off or something. The kids, I can't even think about them rifling through those comics like they're worth nothing. And the conversation got around to comics somehow, and hey, Hex, and he went out to her car, and she had a whole box full of Golden Age Nazi, you know, on the cover, you know, wartime covers. And he said, well, ma'am, I've got to be honest with you. Some of these are worth quite a bit of money. And she said, I don't care. I didn't want to put them in my trash and fill up my trash. Told him the story about being a teacher, but since it was kind of sensitive covers, she couldn't share them with the kids. So she was just looking for a dumpster big enough to throw them in. I say that treasures are being found and lost every day. Yep. And hopefully you'll get on the receiving end like you did with that one kid and preserve. I think, you know, it's kind of a sacred trust. You preserve this thing for, for people that
I'm
may
not
come
even
even
joking when
after
I say
you.
this is American history. You
Yeah.
know, in my video where I show my Fantastic Four #1, I say this is American history. Comic books are one of the unique American art forms, and Fantastic Four #1 is a piece of history. This is something that should be
Yeah.
shown and talked about. I totally agree with you.
If there was one older book, you
I have
just
a
named
museum
it.
back here.
If
What's that?
there's one that I would want to own an original to, you just named it Fantastic Four #1.
You
And
know,
about mid-grade level, I looked it up a couple of years ago. 5.5 will cost you a nice looking 5.5 on eBay. Will cost you about $35,000.
yeah,
That's like buying a Harley or a car or something,
yeah, I know. I look at it as I got a museum back here.
Yeah. Well, join the club.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Have
this
you
is
seen
my
the picture that
second
I always
museum.
show
My
up?
first one burned up.
Have you seen the picture that I always show?
Probably not. Let me say. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a nice little collection there. Now, see, I had to go to short boxes. Now I have over 250 short boxes for sure. With mine, I turned around after my fire and burn and bought out a small comic book store. All the stuff was new, but I've been sitting on it for over 25 years now, and some of it's like I've got a newsstand copy of first appearance of Harley Quinn. There was a few good ones in there, and some early Harley appearances that have went up in price since then. And I've done some trading through the years. I already have my money back for all that stuff. I have a lot of doubles, triples, quadruples, octagonals, whatever.
That's my goal on my YouTube channel is to get my money back on all the comics I spent, and I'm making good progress because in 3 years I'm going to make $111. So,
Are you disappointed with Marvel and DC of late?
Today, absolutely. I stopped collecting Marvel and DC in 2015. I stopped buying them monthly back then, and I got weak, and I finished up a couple of Avengers runs, and I finished up an Inhumans run, and that was it. So
I had a complete Avengers run. I had a complete X-Men run, pretty much, except for the very early issues. But I had pretty good run on that stuff at one point in my first collection. But I would say I have a better collection now than I ever have had. And when you reach status of like 50 something thousand, like you've got, or 30,000 for me, it's, that if you think about, okay, it took me this long to get this many, it can take you a lifetime. Most people don't even collect that much in a lifetime.
Right.
They never reached 30,000, much less 50 something like you have.
I pretty much got full runs of almost everything Marvel. The only big things I'm missing is the first Iron Man, the first Ant-Man, the first Spider-Man. Those I'll never be able to get. Those are out of my price range.
And I've had a few and sold them, key issues. Sometime maybe the condition's not there or I needed the money, but I mean, I've tried not to do that much because I do regret it. I'm a big Pez collector too. I don't know if you've collected any Pez dispensers, but they go back to 1927. They started with the character heads in 1952. Been doing them ever since. The first one looked like a Bic light, an old lighter fluid lighter, like a Zippo, for in 1947. There's only one example of those and it was found in a trash can. I once found a fishing lure, John. There was only 23 of them made for the first bass tournament.
Oh, wow.
In 1954, and found it on a trash heap in an old fishing box.
Yeah.
Rare. It was the holy grail of fishing lures. It was worth about $1,600.
It's funny. People collect things that I never would have thought to collect. When I moved back to New York after being away for a decade, I was walking to my parents' house, and one of my neighbors, woman, she's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you in so long," and she invited me over for lunch, and we just sat in her living room, and on her fireplace there were these ceramic bells of green, blue, red,
Mhm.
blue, green, and one yellow. And so I go, what are those? And then the husband, who just sat there in silence, started telling me that there were insulators on
Oh yeah.
telephone poles.
Yep.
You know, and
I've got a few of those.
I was like, holy mackerel! You know, he worked for the telephone company. My father worked for the telephone
Mhm.
company, but he went up. My father worked in the city. There wasn't too many telephone poles in Manhattan, but he would climb up. You know, in case nobody knows what I'm talking about, the wire wraps around the ceramic, so there's no static. You know, you can't have it on
Mhm.
a metal, so otherwise your phone lines would have static in it. And those went obsolete, and he would go up and unscrew them. And he was telling me the blue ones were made between these years in this factory, the year, and the yellow ones are the rare one. You know, and him and his sons, they'll go upstate hunting, and they'll find old abandoned telephone poles, climb up and unscrew them and everything. I was like, holy mackerel! Like, I didn't know there was a collector's market. I love hearing
Oh
about.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
got a friend, or I haven't seen him in years, but he'd collect old typewriters. You
Yeah,
know,
either the clay or the glass ones. They would get broken, thrown away. They weren't considered collectible. Kind of like the Pez dispensers. I destroyed those as a kid and go buy another
oh
one.
yeah,
They were cheap. They were.
I
You know,
put
you fill them up
firecrackers
with
in and
candy. I'm
close
out
them
of
up and
candy.
blow
You
them.
throw them away or get broke, and that's what makes them collectible. You know, they've been doing
Well,
that
how many
since that.
comics got destroyed? You know, with the paper drives
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah.
recycling, right? Absolutely. You know, people. I mean, the old pulp magazines before the comics, it was cheap entertainment. You know, back in the '40s, millions were sold to people.
Baseball cards, you stick them in your spokes of your bicycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I guarantee you, there were soldiers who died on the battlefield with an Action Comics or a Batman or something, a Captain Marvel in their backpack as they
yeah,
fall to the ground dead. You know,
yep,
yeah,
you're
it was
absolutely right.
Americana. I mean, it's one of the five or
Nobody thought,
six original, American art forms like
back
jazz
in
music.
1977, I had all 12 of the original Star Wars action figures. Who would have ever thought that a Jawa would be $2,000 mint in a box? You know,
Yeah,
I must have had six Jawas. Opened them all up, played with them.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I hear horror stories of like, yeah, I had six Mickey Mantle rookie cards, and I put them in the spokes of my bike wheels.
Yeah,
Every one of them. It wasn't looked at anything. Supply and demand.
yep.
Thank you, Marcus, for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Marcus is a good moderator. He's
Oh,
always
I
there.
know he is. Yeah, he's awesome.
He's always there with a good link. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, I'll do a commercial now because I've been told that I'm not a good salesman. Here,
Okay.
I sold 3 of them today, but this is Heroic Tales. That's the name of my comic coming out. Have a beer with the Patriarch, and then you can see I put the Patriarch's symbol on it. Can you see? There you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there
It
you
looks
go.
good.
At $20 because shipping and handling is insane.
If you want to see the trailer to my magazine, I've got it brought up there.
Yeah, let me clear this away so we can. Whoop. What am I doing here?
I think John kicked himself. He'll be with the pack.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I just couldn't see you.
I like that swamp monster.
"48 page oversized one shot. Going to
Nice.
fund my comic, and I know you are too with your project."
I'm going to fund my comic. It's the
Yeah.
only one I trust. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm working hard, and my Renzo, my artist, is working hard, and we're making a great comic, and I don't need some jerk that I never met over at the other 2 sites shadow banning me.
Yeah. Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't believe that people like, oh, I'm not going to buy from that site or whatever. I don't understand that. If it's a good product, if a car battery is for sale over here, I'm going to go over there and buy it. You know what I mean? If it's a good battery, the
Yeah.
store doesn't really bother me, but what do I
Well,
know?
maybe they don't have Stripe set up or, different payment. I don't know. Some people are reticent to change, but, eventually Ethan Van Sciver and a bunch of those other big creators are going to be over there. They've already said as much.
Yep.
Luke Stone does a great job over
Yep.
there. I know Doc Blaylock, he had a sign up for his Pariah Blood and Mud comic, which I happen to have my copy of here with his cover. He's an artist, and one that put
Yeah, I
when he
like
put
this stuff.
the mail up for this one up for over a year. In the last, right before his mail up was shadow banned, and it's when he over on Indiegogo, and when he launched this, it was shadow banned immediately. So
Right. Why,
yeah.
I've talked with Luke. I have Luke's phone number. I could go right to his house, and talk to him if I have a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's some other great guys that work with him. I'm working with one of his admin right now to do my campaign, because he knows, what it takes to make a good campaign and get it approved over there. You do have to get it approved. That's kind of different.
Yeah, of course.
But and then anything you add later to it, you have to go through and get approved. But I mean, that's just, they do that very quickly.
It's smart. You can't approve a campaign and then change it later on. That just makes the site look bad. That makes everybody look bad. I don't think anything that Luke is doing is a problem. I think he's doing everything above board and honestly, and I trust him, and he's a good guy. He loves comics, what's not to like? What's not to like? If anybody doesn't want to go to Fund My Comic for whatever reason, I don't understand that. I find it to be silly.
Well, when they see people making money over there, I mean, some real money, and they've had some pretty good campaigns over there.
Yeah, Reenie's over there making like 60 grand.
Yeah, after it grows, even some more once they hit 100,000. And he's, according to Luke, he's far ahead of what he thought he would be at this point. And I'm glad of it. I mean, when he first started out, there were like everybody didn't have an original thing to launch, and so they did a lot of second chances over there. But now they're going exclusively over there.
That's normal, you know what I mean? Nobody, what I mean? You got to dip your toes in the water. People don't know if this is fly by night or whatever, but
right. And yet people were calling for it because we were being shadow banned from Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Why would I go to Kickstarter?
I don't to get kicked around or get kicked off. Yeah. Like Mike Barron was kicked off, of Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Why do you want to put up with that?
Or be caught up in an algorithm. Like, who am I going to call up? I can pick up the phone and talk to somebody on Kickstarter. You can't do it.
You need to know something now. You need an answer ASAP. You're going to wait 3-4 days just to see if they're even going to reply to you.
Yeah. I got Luke's phone number. I called him up already.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I thought, well, it doesn't matter, but I misunderstood something. So I rushed up a campaign page and he was just like, I can't approve this. I'm like, well, that's not my campaign. I misunderstood but we were on the phone and he explained it. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Could I do that with Kickstarter? No.
And if you just want to do your book and you want to just sell your book, you can always do that easily on different sites, or your own website. And some people are doing that. But if you want to do the crowdfunding thing, Fund My Comics is a great option. That's what people have been calling for,
Yeah, and I like I say to people, I'll be launching sooner rather than later. I don't want to give an exact date yet.
Well, I appreciate everyone who signed up for the magazine. I mean,
let's
John Malin has said, take 2 years out and build your channel. And I have expanded on the story. I know where I'm going. I know the different books that's going to come out after this, the story arc that it's going to take. And even after the story arc, with the character and the other characters in my universe. So, You know, in like 2 days, we had almost 100 signups. I think we're sitting at 109 signups now. And whether people back the book or not, I appreciate them just signing up, you know, and getting us at least 100 signups.
Speaking of Stippling Vaughn, is he going to be? He's going to be on this week with me, right? I forget, but Stipling's going to be coming up.
My Professor X. Yes, that is correct, sir.
Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday the 31st.
I was correct.
Stippling Vaughn. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go to bed.
All right.
I'm going to eat some food and then go to bed. But this cold weather just saps my energy. I cannot wait to be complaining about the heat. At least when it's hot out, when I come home, I don't feel like going to bed. You know, I just take a shower and I calm down. But this cold weather, man, I work outside. I don't know what, you know, you're in a truck, you said, right?
Yeah.
I'm outside all day long, and it was raining and it was freezing, and your feet get wet, and then there's nothing you can do about it. And I just want to, you can see my face. I'm falling asleep. Nothing against you. It's just my body.
Oh, I can put you to sleep.
No, that's not
something melodious about my voice that puts people to sleep.
Yeah, you should make a sleep app. Count sheep for people.
Maybe, yeah, that might be the, you know, and then here I am messing around with comics. There's no money in that, you know.
but we love it, you know. We
love it. I'm hooked. You know,
your collection burnt down, and you started all. If my collection burnt down, I'd be done. I think I'd just be too bitter.
I had to get back up on that horse, or not at all. You know, I mean, I think, like I said, most collections can be replaced, but when you have one of a kind items like artwork and maybe,
I think I'd be done if my collection burnt down. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be painting models or something with my spare time. But here we go. We got Devil Flyer coming out. What are you launching? You said a date, and I forgot already.
February 3rd on Red Valkyrie's channel. She'll be cosplaying one of my characters. I assume it's going to be Devil Flyer. Still working on the campaign up there on Fund My Comic, but this is the off-site sign-up that, you know, we've only been up, I think this is day 6 maybe, you know, and something like that.
Good. Cool.
So we're doing well with that, and it won't be up that long, and we'll be launching that baby. And most of the project is done. Still working on, like, you know, I've got some lettering to be done. Keith Gleason from Mighty Mice Guts is going to do a lot of the lettering.
Good. I
already have one. The Devil Flyer story was done all by the same artist. He lettered it, inked it, and drew it. So
cool.
Yeah, we've been working on this for several years, so I hope everybody gets a thrill out of it.
Good luck. All right. I'm going to say goodbye. Good night. Good night, Gracie.
Let's talk comics.
Yep. All right. I'll see you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, chat. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Rex, for showing up. Bye-bye.